Today on Ian vs. Daddybones, we're gonna gather up the family and have an evil horde Thanksgiving.
Oh boy, kids, we're gonna have fun today.
Yay! Hey! Alright!
How is everyone doing tonight?
Welcome back. It's episode 5 of Ian vs. Daddybones. Just like good old King Kong Bundy used to say. 5! It is episode 5 of Ian vs. Daddybones. I want to say happy Thanksgiving to everybody watching this right now. And today on Ian vs. Daddybones, we're going to do something special. I'm going to have a double unboxing, and I'm going to talk about the Evil Horde and their induction in Masters of the Universe Origins. Now, before we get started, I want to thank all of my Patreon subscribers and give all of y'all a special high five right now. Y'all are help keeping this train going down the tracks, and we truly appreciate and love and are very thankful for your support. Everybody watching this right now, if you're watching me on YouTube, please take the opportunity, click the subscribe button, give me a like, click that bell notification so when you know Ian vs. Daddybones is about to drop a new episode. And that's something I'm learning as I go with the post-production and the uploading of the show. I'm finding out through YouTube that I could actually schedule premieres instead of just uploading it, doing what I do, and then clicking, post and having it go live. I'm going to put some more thought behind it and actually have premieres for every episode going forward with this project. So yeah, throw me a like, click the subscribe button, click the bell notification. If you notice, I am wearing a Mask It or Casket Karen t-shirt that you can get exclusively over at Store Frontier, Ian Daddybones. You can buy a t-shirt if you want to show support, if you don't feel like subscribing to the Patreon. I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't want to subscribe to the Patreon for $1, but are considering buying a t-shirt since the t-shirt is more expensive than subscribing to the actual Patreon. But you know what? I'm not going to complain. Give me your money. But today we're going to talk about the Evil Horde, and I got 2 unboxings planned. Now the first unboxing is going to be Mantenna. We're gonna crack this fucker open, add him to the roster and the family of the Evil Horde members, but exclusively for the Patreon subscribers. Y'all are getting something special. Everybody watching this episode, they're not even getting the time-lapsed version of this. This is only for Patreon subscribers. So seriously, as you're watching this right now, just throw me a buck, Chuck, and you can watch the exclusive Patreon only unboxing of Mattel Creations Grizzlord. That's right. Grizzlord was a Mattel Creations exclusive. I'll explain more about that when I crack him open on the Patreon exclusive video, but basically, who is the Evil Horde? Well, in today's modern age of gaming and, terms being thrown around not really thrown around, because I say thrown around like it's a brand new term, but it's not. But DLC has been a part of video games for over 15 years now. And the way I look at it, with the Masters of the Universe line back in the day, back in the 80s, right? You had He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. You had Skeletor and the Evil Warriors. So the toy line came out in 1982. So you had the original first wave of characters, the first 2 waves of characters, building up your core character in the base of the brand. Then in 1983, 1984, they added new characters, new bad guys, new good guys. They built out the Masters, they built out the Evil Warriors, and in 1985, basically Masters of the Universe got its first DLC. And we got the Evil Horde. And now, the Evil Horde is always going to be best remembered for 2 things. It's going to be best remembered for being that first brand new group of bad guys that got added to Masters of the Universe. But also at the same time, the Evil Horde itself was used as the main foundation of having the evil entity. Entity, is that the word I'm using? But either way, the evil horde was like the villains of the She-Ra series, and that always kind of confused me when She-Ra came out, because Hordak and the evil horde got introduced to Masters of the Universe first, but when it came to the Filmation cartoons, you only saw Hordak and the evil horde within Princess of Power, not Masters of the Universe. You only had the evil horde within Masters of the Universe when you were playing with your toys at home. It's not like it was presented that way in Filmation, even though you have the He-Man She-Ra Secret of the Sword animated movie that not only serves as She-Ra's origin and backstory, introduces her to the brand, but it also introduces us to Hordak and the evil horde, and somewhat gives a slight origin story to Hordak. And that's basically why we're here today, because the evil horde has been introduced into the Masters of the Universe Origins line, and that's what we're going to talk about today. The original evil horde, like I said, they came out in 1985. It was the first brand new group of villains that weren't just a threat to He-Man, but they were also here to kick Skeletor's ass too. And the one thing at the time, being a kid, when the evil horde was new, the one thing I never picked up on as a child is apparently a lot of the inspiration for the evil horde was the OG, back in the day, Universal movie monsters. And I'm going to be honest with you, like, I love horror movies, I love scary movies, I love the classic movie monsters, but at the age of 5, 6 years old, I had no idea that they were called Universal movie monsters. You know what I mean? I didn't know they were all part of that group. I just thought you had Frankenstein, you had Dracula, you had the Wolfman, and at that point in time in my life, given the age, I only seen Dracula, Frankenstein, and the Wolfman around Halloween time when I'm going to the store getting my boxed vinyl Masters of the Universe He-Man costume. And so I didn't really make the connection between the evil horde and Universal movie monsters, but I got Buddy Misters here, and I got Dandy Manners running production on the other side of the camera. But like when my son and I were on our way down to our palatial Ian Daddybones lair, I was telling my son, like, I didn't even make the connection when I was a kid. But it's like, with the way the figures are, you know, you had Hordak, who was the leader of the group, and Hordak always had like this like weird skull bat face. I always got the impression, looking at Hordak, to me he looks like a skull bat, but like he's got the bat motif, he's got the black and the white and the red, so he's like rocking, you know, gang, he's rocking Dracula's colors. And so he's got the bat motif with his shield and whatnot. So Hordak is like the Dracula of the group, even though he's not a vampire, he doesn't suck blood. But like you have Leech, which is like, you know, your swamp creature, your creature from the Black Lagoon style villain. You know, Grizzlor, the hairy motherfucker. He's obviously more like a Wolfman, Abominable Snowman, Sasquatch type creature from the woods. And then I look at Mantenna with his bug eyes. Even though he's a bug, I kind of get like alien vibes from Mantenna. You know what I mean? Like Mars Attack style, not like alien chest burster style alien. That's what I'm thinking of, like Mars Attacks with like Mantenna and shit. So that's how like you had your main core evil horde characters when they were introduced. You had Hordak, Mantenna, Leech, Grizzlor, and then the fifth character, who does not have an Origins character or a release as of right now, is Modulok. And I basically explained to Buddy Misters that to me, Modulok is like Frankenstein. Because like Dr. Frankenstein and Igor, they dug up graves and collected body parts to make Frankenstein's monster. But with Modulok, he's like 24 parts that you could assemble and put together however the hell you want. He's got like 2 heads, 2 chests, 2 pelvises, a shit ton of arms, a shit ton of legs. And you could just build and create your own Modulok however the hell you want. So those were the core basic 5 members of the original Horde, of the original Evil Horde when it came out. And then over the years, from like 1985, 86, 87, additional members of the Evil Horde came out. Like you have the Horde Trooper, which was most fondly remembered from the Secret of the Sword movie and basically being Hordak's stormtrooper, like robotic bad guys that He-Man could just beat. He-Man and She-Ra could just beat the living shit out of, make them explode, rip their arms off. You know what I mean? Completely destroy them without making it look like they were killing another human being. You know, He-Man can't take the sword and like chop the fuck out of like the Trapjaw and Triclops and Evil Lyn, because they're like real people. Human beings, you know what I mean? But these guys are completely disposable and whatnot. So they were a good army build figure to add to your collection. And then you got Mosquitor, the mosquito blood-sucking like villain that had the button on the back with the chest pumping action. And which is weird too, because he was the character that was the bloodsucker that would drain your energy, even though Hordak had the Dracula vampire style presentation. It was Mosquitor that would actually do the bloodsucking and shit. And and back in the day, he was a lot of fun as a character. And I honestly gotta say, like, as a kid, with what my parents, my grandparents, aunts, uncles, whatever they would get me for like birthday gifts, Christmas gifts, everybody in my family knew He-Man was my jam. What am I going to get Ian for his birthday? Just get him a He-Man figure. He'll be happy with that. You know what I mean? And I totally was. Every time I freaking got a birthday or a Christmas present, as soon as I cracked that shit open and saw that Masters of the Universe logo, hell yeah. But basically, that was the OG back in the day Evil Horde. And now, mind you, they also had a character named freaking Dragstore who had like a wheel on his chest and he could zip across the ground and shit. He hasn't gotten an Origins release yet, but he's a figure that could come out next year or maybe the following year. We're either gonna get Dragster next year or the following year. It's going to be interesting to see if I get him as a figure before Eternia arrives at my house. So that's going to be something interesting to keep an eye out on over the next year. But so the Evil Horde originally, when it came out, it was planned. They dropped it. You had the leader. Here's his 4 minions. You know what I mean? We got this new faction, this new stable within Masters of the Universe, and other members of the group got added as time went on. However, with Masters of the Universe Origins, this whole line has been nothing but like, every wave, every release has been like seriously a weird hodgepodge, mishmash, just weird assortment of characters when they hit shelves. Because it's like Masters of the Universe, Origins, Mattel right now, it's like they're putting out core characters, but they're also working their way from the front of the brand, the back of the line, and the middle all at the same time. Because like the first wave of characters was like your main 6. He-Man, Skeletor, Man-at-Arms, Teela, Beastman, Evil Lyn. But then when they got to Wave 2 consisted of Orko, Scareglow, Trapjaw, and Manny-Faces. But then you had Wave 3, and then you had Wave 4, and now Hordak, I believe, came out in Wave 4. However, I believe we got Buzzsaw Hordak first, and he was released as a deluxe character between waves 3 and 4, but then you had the whole Mattel's pandemic distribution schedule got all fucked up for 2020, so like the United States never got a proper assortment. We never got... Wave 2, Wave 3, and Wave 4 weren't properly distributed in the United States or released because of the pandemic. Mattel released all this shit internationally first, then we get it. And unfortunately, with the pandemic shutting this and that down over the course of weeks to 30 days to however long it took Mattel to get back on their feet and start producing shit and getting things back to normal and getting their schedules, back up to sync. It was basically a clusterfuck and such a hard time this year for people hunting down the second, third, and fourth waves of Masters of the Universe Origins. Like my own journey of completing the second, third, and fourth waves of this line is its own epic adventure and a story that's going to be told when the time is right on an upcoming episode of Ian versus Daddybones. I'm just trying to figure out how exactly I want to tell the story and when I want to do it. But basically, it's an interesting story. So with that said, throw me $1 on the Patreon, subscribe. Let's do this together. But basically, Hordak got a deluxe figure, the Hurricane Hordak. And then he got his standalone release figure. So it's like Hordak at one point was the first and only member of the Evil Horde that ever made an appearance in this brand. I was trying to take a sip of water without being awkward about it, but I just realized I've been holding the bottle and opening it 4 fucking times without taking a sip of water. But so we had 2 Hordak figures before any other members of the Evil Horde came out, right? And then, like I said, Buzzsaw Hordak was a deluxe figure, which means he cost a couple dollars more than the regular release single peg figures. This Hordak came with an extra head. He came with his Buzzsaw blade, and I believe he's got 2 of them. I think he already... Hold on, let me... Yeah, I'm shaking him. He's got it. He's rocking that. He's rocking his second buzzsaw inside his chest, and he's got his Horde crossbow, and I have Buzzsaw Hordak wearing the Hordak bat on his arm, but I believe that red Hordak bat actually goes with that Hordak. But so the 2 Hordaks came out first, and then Mosquitor got a release, which is kind of cool because this Mosquitor, he actually has the button on the back for the chest pumping action. And what's interesting to me is he actually came with an alternate head. He's got, this is more of his vintage style head that the original character had back in the 80s. But the cool thing is this alternate head that Mosquitor comes with. Apparently, when I believe I mentioned before, while we in the United States got the He-Man and the Masters of the Universe Filmation cartoon, over in England, in Germany, they didn't get that series, and Germany had cassette audio dramas. England had comics. So I believe Mosquitor, his alternate head, is actually from his mini comics and UK comics. That's the way his head was drawn over there. And so it's neat getting that they went that extra mile and they include that alternate head for Mosquitor. And plus the cool thing I like is that this Mosquitor figure, he comes with what's known as a blast effect. And the blast effect is usually a piece of plastic that comes with a figure, and I'm trying to pose the Horde Trooper here so I can put this blast effect on. But the blast effect is usually a piece of plastic that will like pop on the front of a gun to make it look like, you know, the character is shooting the gun. But in this case, it's not exactly fitting the best on the Horde Trooper, but basically, he's got this blast effect that basically looks like he's sucking the life force out of the Horde Trooper. So for the purpose of setting up a display on a shelf, you know, that's a pretty cool gimmick to include with a character. You know, it's not just posing him with his arms to the side or with his arms up or out, you know what I mean? So I like how they went the extra mile. My only complaint about the blast effects is the characters you don't expect to come with a blast effect come with the blast effect, and then once you see that blast effect exists, you kind of get frustrated when you think other characters should probably come with a blast effect. Like, for example, they had a Masters of the WWE Universe, and that's a brand I'm going to get to on a whole nother episode. But before this Origins line went live, Mattel, since they own Masters of the Universe and they currently have the WWE line, basically they did a crossover where they did put out WWE wrestlers in the He-Man bodies, but they utilized Masters of the Universe gimmicks. And it's absolutely crazy. And they put out a figure of Kane, the Big Red Machine. But it was like Kane, but with like Roboto's body. So it was like a robot version of Kane. So Kane had the one gimmick Roboto hand where he's got the gun, the axe, and the claw attachments. But Kane also came with a blast effect that popped onto the end of the gun to make it look like he's firing his gun. And I thought that was super friggin' dope. Like, I'm like, you know what? That actually looks really neat. I like that. But then they put out the Roboto figure, but you can't include a blast effect for Roboto, which had the same fucking arm with the same weapon attachments. It would have been nice if Roboto came with that same translucent blast effect that Kane did, so I could have Roboto standing there shooting his gun with the blast effect. But, you know, like I said, Hordak was followed up by Mosquitor. And basically, by the time Mosquitor came out, I want to say Masters of the Universe Origins was between waves 5 and 6. So you had these three figures, and then when it came time for wave 8, which didn't release until second quarter this year, the Horde Trooper was a part of wave 8. And the Horde Trooper, honestly, I never got this character as a kid. Because he honestly, the Horde Trooper came out in 1987 at the end of the Masters of the Universe line. He was one of the final characters released. And at that point in time was when I had that childhood traumatic experience where my He-Man figures got jacked when I was 8. So by the time those figures got stolen, I kind of lost an interest in Masters of the Universe for a little bit. As a little kid, I was heartbroken. My shit got stolen. So it's like I had that period where as a little kid, I was like, I don't care. I don't want it. I don't have these figures, so I don't care about these figures anymore type shit. And, you know, so I never had the Horde Trooper, but I do have a childhood friend that I'm going to refer to as Bobby from back in the day. So my childhood friend Bobby from back in the day, Bobby had the Horde Trooper. Bobby had like all of the characters that I didn't have, which was kind of cool because when we played with our He-Man figures, he would always have the guys that I didn't have, and I had guys that he didn't have. So we were always playing with each other's He-Mans and shit, and it was funny. I have a lot of memories of like butting heads with Bobby as a kid because I was interested in, you know, well, why don't you trade me for this character? And it's like, no, I'm not trading my figure. I don't want to trade Terraclaw Skeletor, which is great because now as an adult, when I got my own Terraclaw Skeletor, I was so happy that I finally got I finally got Terraclaw Skeletor. I had my own that I could hold in my hand, and I'm just like, wow, he looks so awesome. Fuck you, Bobby. You know what I mean? Just because Bobby from back in the day wouldn't trade me Terraclaw Skeletor, and now here I am 43 years old. Just celebrated my 43rd birthday in June. And how do I celebrate? With Flying Fist He-Man and fucking Terraclaw Skeletor. Along with the Horde Trooper. I wouldn't have it any other way. We doing good on time, buddy misters? Alright. Well, the Horde Trooper, like Mosquitor, still has his action feature intact. The Horde Trooper has a button right in his chest, so if you hit it, his chest opens up, his chest and back fall down, revealing his robot insides, which are very much colored red, so I always got the gore element, thought it was his blood and guts flying out, even though it wasn't. But no, the Horde Trooper, really dope figure, you know what I mean? He's an army build figure, and by that, he's the type of figure where, yeah, it's cool if you have one, but it'd be a lot cooler if you had two. It'd be a lot cooler if you had four. You know what I mean? He's the type of character that they want you to buy multiples of. But he's also the type of character that will make your parents go apeshit if you already have one and you want another one. I want another Horde Trooper. Fuck that! I'm not buying you another Horde Trooper. You already have a Horde Trooper. You know what I mean? And then when your parents act like they're into what you like, but they don't give a flying fuck about your interests whatsoever, I want a Horde Trooper. You already have 6 of them at home. Well, for starters, you're wrong. Number 2, they're Stormtroopers. It's Star Wars. It's not Masters of the Universe, Dad. You don't know what you're talking about. But, Horde Trooper came out. He was part of Wave 8. Wave 9 came out, and they decided to include Montana as part of Wave 9, and currently with the exception of Modulok, the evil Horde has been fully released for the most part. I'm gonna talk all about Grizzlor on the Patreon bonus footage, but basically Grizzlor was one of the final members that needed to get added to the evil Horde. But unfortunately, all of these guys you were able to buy in stores. Grizzlor you're not able to get in stores. And I'm going to tell that story when we get there for the Patreon backers. But right now, like I said, you know, with the way the distribution has been, it's been really funky and weird because they never just released to everybody at once like they did back in the 80s. It was just a slow drip. Like, here's Buzzsaw Hordak, drip. Next wave, here's regular Hordak, drip. Here's Mosquitor, drip. You know what I mean? Here's Horde Trooper, and everyone else is like, okay, these are cool. That was cool, but it's just been a weird, I don't know, it's always fucked with me ever since I saw Buzzsaw Hordak for the first time. Because I saw Buzzsaw Hordak for the first time, and when I saw Buzzsaw Hordak at Target, I thought it was interesting, but then rolling into Wave 4, when regular Hordak came out, it like completely threw me off that they like had put 2 Hordaks out back to back. But also at the same time, that was also in the beginning of the line after it came out and they had Wave 1 and then the distribution problems with Wave 2 and Wave 3. Like I said, Wave 2 and Wave 3 were very difficult trying to find them in stores, especially when you're physically looking for something that you're never going to find in stores, no matter how hard you look at the time, because they never got released. You know what I mean? I literally was like chasing a ghost. I'm looking for Trapjaw, but Trapjaw never got released. And that's like how it's been with most of the characters in this line. So with the way they released the members of the evil Horde, like none of it's made sense to me. Kind of like me rambling about being confused about their releases. But so Horde Trooper came out in Wave 8. Montana was a part of Wave 9. But also, Leech was a character that came out between Waves 8 and 9. Leech got the deluxe figure treatment like Buzzsaw Hordak and Mosquitor. And I do gotta say that as a kid, Leech was my least favorite member of the Evil Horde and was definitely on my top 5 of least favorite Masters of the Universe figures ever. Because when Leech came out, he had this ugly ass 80s head, right? He's got this 80s head with this suction cup mouth, and he's got these painted on teeth, and it was, to me, it was just a ridiculous figure because he had suction cup hands and suction cup feet, and it's another thing that, like, as a kid always bothered me about Spider-Man figures. I absolutely hate Spider-Man figures that have suction cups on the fucking hand. Okay, I get it. He's Spider-Man. He's supposed to stick to things, but at the same time, I don't want to be like Spider-Man. Spider-Man looks like shit with suction cup hands. You know what I mean? That's not what I want to play with as a childhood toy. You know, and that's why I feel Leech was so boring to me, and I absolutely hated him as a kid because it was nothing but suction cups. If you don't have anything for him to stick to, he was boring. Like, he didn't really stand up properly unless he was stuck to something, okay? And even as time went on, like, his friggin' feet would act like the Wicked Witch of the West as time went on, because, like, the plastic would, like, fold and, like, roll into itself to where he would never, like, stand properly again. And he had this button on his back for this, like, suction cup action where you push the button in his you push the button in his back, and then you put him against, like, a mirror or a window, let go of the button, and then he was supposed to stick there. But the funny thing is you come to find out that, like, you know, half of 80s boys were fucking morons when we came to playing with our toys. You know how many kids had Leech and thought he squirted water? He wasn't supposed to squirt water. I mean, granted, yes, if you push the button on his back, you'll feel the air come out of his mouth if you do it really fast, but he's not like Cobra Khan. He's not like Cobra Khan where you're filling his body like he's a fucking hairspray bottle and putting the nozzle head on and then, you know, giving Cobra Khan a little spritz with the mist. That's not how Leech was supposed to work. Leech was supposed to have the button to stick to a surface, you release the button, and then he's gold to stay attached to the surface, but so many people thought he was supposed to squirt water, which I get it. If he's truly, like, based on the creature from the Black Lagoon, swamp thing-like creature, you know what I mean? I get that, but overall as an action feature, it was never even advertised that he could squirt water. It was just something he did. But overall, this Leech, I think, is cool because, I'm going to rewind real quick, the Masters of the Universe Classics line that came out and ran from 2008 to 2018, 2019, when they decided to put out Leech, for the purpose of the additional attention to detail on the Classics line, Leech had a completely different head sculpt, which is what his additional head was based on, with the open mouth, with the open teeth, making him look more like a scary beast, like a scary creature. Excuse me. His suction cup hands are actually able to be replaced with these weird Ninja Turtle looking cancer hands. I don't know what else to friggin' call him. He looks like he's got these weird, like, his hands look like a Ninja Turtle if a Ninja Turtle's got his fingers ran over by a truck. And they all look all broken and shit, like he can't even hold anything. But overall, I do gotta say, compared to the vintage character, I gotta say that this Leech figure is absolutely sick. I love the redesign of his face. I love that they gave us additional hands. My only complaint is, for everything good that they gave us additionally, it's the one thing they didn't give me that's my biggest complaint. I wish they would have gave him, like, replaceable feet for the purpose of just being able to have him stand without a problem. Now, mind you, he's not falling over for me at the moment when I really need him to not fall down, which is on camera while I'm doing the show. So I'm really glad that he cooperates, but at the same time, he's fallen over on the shelf numerous times. He's always one of my characters that I have to make sure didn't get knocked over. But overall, I mean, you know, as far as the Masters of the Universe Origins villains deck, on deck, up next, we're all getting ready for the release of the Snake Men. But I'm glad that before they launched the Snake Men, they finally finished and gathered up the evil horde, because with the hodgepodge and the mishmash and the releases and the way they put out the waves with like, okay, we're going to put out this guy. All right, the next wave, we're going to take this guy from 1983. We're going to take this guy from 1985, this guy from 86, and this guy from 87. That's basically what they're doing. Instead of putting out all of the 1982 stuff first, then the 83, then the 84, then the 85. So I like how they're plucking from different years, but it's just weird with the way some of the characters. It's just weird with the way some of the characters are paired together. It's like that one time WWE did Survivor Series back in 1995, where they were like, "Hey, we're gonna have a wild card Survivor Series match, where we're gonna take heels and baby faces that don't get along, put them on the same team, and they're gonna take on another team of heels and baby faces that don't get along. And the best part is this guy and this team and this guy and the other team are tag partners with each other. So it's gonna be crazy as fuck, and it didn't really make much sense in it. You know, it was they've never done it since. Let's just say that. But thankfully, the Evil Horde has been officially released. I mean, there's still a couple characters that could come out over time, like Modulok could get a release, Multibot could get a release. I was telling Owen about this character named Rat Trap, who never got a release in the vintage line, but he got a release in classics. And like I said, all these guys supposedly influenced and based on movie monsters. Rat Trap's The Mummy that was unreleased. So Rat Trap could get a figure, Dragstore could get a figure, Modulok, Multibot. So there's at least 4 members of the Evil Horde that could very well... Oh, and don't even get me started on Shadow Weaver. See, that's another thing too, like going back real quick to Hordak. Like, Hordak's color scheme, when he's with Masters of the Universe, the toy line, he's gray, black, red, and white. But Hordak in She-Ra, he's blue. He has the Trapjaw arm, and Hordak in the cartoon is a shapeshifter and can basically turn into whatever he wants, which is weird when he turns into like a Hordak drill and he drills up from the ground, or he turns into like the Hordak rocket ship and just blasts off into the sky. It's like, fucking really, dude? Doesn't really... Oh my god, crazy shit, and we fucking loved it back in the day. But yeah, I very much was a fan of the Evil Horde's addition into the Masters of the Universe vintage line when I was a kid. I'm super stoked that the Evil Horde exists within Masters of the Universe Origins, because now that the family has been officially gathered, there's hope for the future. And by hope for the future, we could very well wind up with an Evil Horde Fright Zone playset someday. And we could very well, and I hope to fucking God we get one of these releases. I hope they make the Slime Pit. The Evil Horde Slime Pit was my most wanted birthday present ever. And I got it when I was 7 years old. So if I can get an Evil Horde Slime Pit as an adult to go with this line, that would be absolutely dope as hell. And yeah, so with that said, I'm gonna get ready to crack this fucker up. But again, before I open Mantenna, the unboxing of Grizzlor is gonna be exclusively on the Patreon. So if you want to see Grizzlor get unboxed, Go to the Patreon, Ian versus Daddybones, click subscribe, throw me $1. Give me 30 days and your $1 to see if my content is worth your money. If not, you don't have to resubscribe at the end of the 30 days, and I will gladly thank you right now up front for the first 30 days and your $1 bill. You will get your name and a shout out in the credits as a high five and a thank you from myself to you for investing into my show and believing in what me, my son, and everybody else are trying to do with Ian versus Daddybones. And not only are you getting a shout out in the credits, but you are also getting exclusive content that's only available to Patreon subscribers. Everybody watching this show right now, when they see me crack this fucker open, it's gonna go into a time lapse, and it's gonna be super quick and over in like 2 minutes. But everybody on the Patreon gets to watch that sped up 2 minutes broken down into like a 10-15 minute video. I don't know how much time I'm gonna spend opening him up. But either way, you're going to be getting a second video along with the Grizzlord. So that's enough of my begging for your money portion of the show. So with that said, let's open them up! All right, we are back, and it is official. We can celebrate Thanksgiving. The family has been gathered. The evil horde is complete. The only one who's not here, unfortunately, because he hasn't been made, is Modulok. But someday he may be added to the mix, and hopefully someday we get a slime pit, and we also get a fright zone, so these fuckers have some place to rule and hang out at. But I gotta say, now that these two are officially out of package, and again, if you weren't there to see me unbox Grizzlord, sucks to be you, bro. Throw me a buck, Chuck. Come on, it's that holiday season. We're rolling into Thanksgiving. Seriously, if you're watching this show for free right now on YouTube, click the subscribe button, click the bell notification, throw me a like. That's easy as fuck. But if you want to take the extra step, subscribe on Patreon. Throw me $1. Subscribe for 1 month. If you don't like it at the end of the 30 days, then don't worry about it. You don't need to subscribe for month 2. I'm not holding a gun to your head. It's all a decision that you make on your own. Nobody's forcing you to subscribe to Ian versus Daddybones. But if you do, then you'll be able to see me unbox Grizzlor, just like all the Patreon subscribers got to do. And they fucking loved it and said it was incredible. So throw me $1, Chuck. But overall, I gotta say, now that these two are out of package, Montana looks dope. Montana absolutely looks dope with the legs and the redesign. Like I said, well, I didn't get to say because that was only for the Patreon subscribers. The only little bit you're gonna get is the original figure had 2 legs that gave you the impression he had 4. This one's completely redesigned. He's got 4 true legs. Looks fucking sick. Grizzlor looks just as dope as he did, and he's just as hairy as an 80s bush, and I wouldn't have him any other way. And he just looks so fucking sick. And again, you could watch me unbox him in all his glory if you throw me $1 on the Patreon. But rocking and rolling going forward with Ian versus Daddybones. I already got the next episodes on deck, being thought out, planned out, but I'm also learning at the same time through Patreon, I could actually do polls. So going forward when it comes to polls, instead of just playing with mine, I'm going to create a poll that you can play with. I'm going to give you the opportunity to vote for what I talk about on upcoming shows. I'll take like 4 random characters that I really want to talk about, and I'll make a list of them. I'll make it available on the Patreon, and if you're a paid subscriber, and I don't even know how it works if you're not a paid subscriber and you go to the Patreon, I don't know if you could vote or not, depending on your status of whether or not you're a Patreon. I don't know if voting's only for Patreon subscribers only, or if anybody that visits the Patreon can participate in the poll. I haven't created one yet. I haven't got there. We're not that far, so we'll all learn together as when the first poll drops. But overall, definitely glad to have the final 2 core main members of the Evil Horde. Because my biggest complaint with Origins, with the way they've been introducing the members of the Evil Horde, is we got 2 versions of Hordak off the start. Then we got Mosquitor, who is like one of the final members of the Evil Horde to get released, plus the Horde Trooper, before we got the 3 main core members of the group. You know what I mean? It's like, it'd be like, yeah, we're going to put out the Beatles, but you're only going to get Paul McCartney right now. We're going to put out some figures of people associated with the Beatles. Then we're going to put out the rest of the core Beatles. That's how I feel they treated the Evil Horde. But, you know, a little piss poor planning and distribution, in my opinion, with the way they handled the Evil Horde. The Snake Men's getting its own branding going forward with Wave 11. They're not just calling it Wave 11. It's being called Snake Men Wave 1. And that's where we're going with the future of upcoming releases with the Origins line. But I could honestly say, and this goes back to the 4th wave, where the single standalone Hordak figure was released, plus also including that little gap between waves 3 and 4, where Buzzsaw Hordak was released. And who knows what's going to happen in the future, because in the 80s line you had Hordak, Buzzsaw Hordak, but then you had Hurricane Hordak. That was the closest thing to the Filmation version of Hordak in the vintage line, because the Princess of Power blue-skinned Hordak had the interchangeable hand and he could shapeshift. Hurricane Hordak was the only version of the figure that had the Trapjaw Roboto arm accessory gimmick. So who knows if Hurricane Hordak's going to get a release in the line, but basically, all I care about at this point, now that all these motherfuckers have been released, is Modulok, the Fright Zone, and the Slime Pit. That's what I want to see come to Masters of the Universe Origins, and I will be absolutely geeked as hell about that because me personally, I'm a big fan of the Evil Horde. I've been a fan of the Evil Horde ever since I saw the vintage commercials in the 80s that let me know that they were coming soon and that they were on their way. And yeah, what a great experience. What a great evil faction to have part of my childhood. And as far as I'm concerned, every year collecting this Masters of the Universe line, and now I make it seem like I've been doing it for years, but when it comes to Origins, I'm approaching, I'm ending the second year of straight collecting this line, and I'm very impressed, happy, and proud with it. And next year's just going to be so fucking fresh when all the new shit comes out, because right now, that's one of the things I'm really enjoying with doing Ian versus Daddybones. And even I'm hearing it from the listeners and the Patreon subscribers who are watching the footage that's not being time-lapsed of the actual unboxing, saying, dude, that is like my favorite part of the show. You opening toys and nostalgic story time is the best shit about Ian versus Daddybones. So, on my end, thank you very much, because all of y'all are motivating me to keep going with this shit, and I'm having so much fun doing Ian versus Daddybones. Even it gives me time to hang out with my son one-on-one and just do stuff together, and he feels he's a part of it, you know. And I like that. I like having my son be a part of the team, and even Natalia's part of the team, even though she's not really part of the show. You know, in the beginning, when you hear the theme song, and I'm saying, "Oh boy, kids, we're gonna have fun today." That's my kids that you're hearing saying, "Yay!" Which is funny, because I actually recorded that shit like 4 years ago, and now I'm finally finding something to do with it. So, everything happens for a reason. Whether I'm making beats 5 years ago on a laptop, and I'm like, I don't really feel like making music anymore. I like making beats, but I don't know what to do with them. 5 years later, fuck it. I'll have all my beats be background music on Ian versus Daddybones. So everything happens for a reason. And again, thank you very much from the bottom of my heart, the family's heart, for supporting this show. You keep me going, and I look forward to the next episode of Ian versus Daddybones. So follow me, YouTube, like the page on Facebook, throw me $1 on Patreon. I'm even doing my bullshit and got some antics going up on Twitter, or TikTok. Fuck Twitter. Speaking of Twitter, real quick, Twitter got back to me and flat out said, no, you're not getting your account back. Now, mind you, that was the morning where everybody supposedly quit Twitter. So I'm kind of gonna leave it be, leave it like a dead horse and just leave it be, because since everybody's leaving Twitter, why am I trying so hard to go back? So I'll just let the Titanic sink itself. So you can just follow me and my bullshit mostly on the Instagram and the TikTok. So Ian Daddybones, Ian versus Daddybones, those are the hashtags. Hit me up. Y'all keep me going. This has been a lot of fun. I'm Ian Daddybones, and until next time, happy Thanksgiving and cheers, Pete!
Epic roast guy. Epic roast guy. Meme Lord for real. Epic roast guy.
Yup. Yeah. Yup.